we are on Yoshua, chapter 12, chapter 7, verse 12. It says, "V'lo yuchlu b'nei Yisrael lakum." Again, God is speaking, just for us to understand. Hashem is speaking to Joshua, telling him why the Jews lost the battle of Ai. It says, "V'lo yuchlu b'nei Yisrael," and b'nei Yisrael will not be able lakum lifnei oiveim, to stand in front of their enemies. In other words, they won't be able to conquer them. Or if yifnu lifnei oiveim, they will turn their necks from before their enemies. Ki hayu lecherem, because they have amongst them this cherem, this forbidden material from Jericho. Lo osif liyoti machem, I will no longer be with you. Im lo tashmidu acherem v'kerachem, if you do not destroy this cherem, the cherem from your midst, singular. not midst, plural. Okay. So what's going on? Again, God's saying that Bnei Yisrael will not be able to stand in front of their enemies. They're going to turn their necks before their enemies. In other words, they'll have to run away because they have this cherem, this forbidden stuff. Who made the cherem? Who's the one who made it forbidden? Did God? When they were going to Jericho, did God say you can't have any of these?
It wasn't the decision of Yeshua, was it?
It was Yeshua, not Sanhedrin. It was Yeshua. Yeshua who decided there was going to be cherem. But nonetheless, since he did it, since he said it would be cherem, so God followed that, and he says, since you have cherem, then in your midst, I will no longer be with you until you get rid of that cherem. Okay? Any questions?
What cherem?
The shalal, the booty that came from Jericho. Yehoshua had said, nobody can use that. We're going to give it to the Bedek Habayit. We're going to give it to the temple treasury. Okay. Cherem literally means off limits. It's excommunicated, so we're not going to have it. Okay. So, any questions there? Any problems with that pasuk? Anybody? No?
It's supposed to be?
Yeah. All the rabbis think there's a problem. So you would have the problems. Yeah, I'll give you the Malbim. Let's get right into the Malbim.
That's right. It says they'll not be able to stand before their enemies. They would turn their backs to the next. Does that mean that they turn their back because they're afraid to fight? What does that mean?
Mm-hmm. That would be one thing, yeah. Right.
It doesn't say they'll send themselves on a backward journey or some strange language. It says they'll turn their back. Turn their back.
Right.
So,
okay. So the Malbim says, when it says below, it says, and therefore, in other words, he is connecting. He's saying it doesn't make sense. The two sentences. If you look at Yud Aleph and Yud Beit, 11 and 12, it says, Israel has sinned and they have also transgressed my covenant, that I commanded them, and they also took from the cherem, and they also stole, and they also denied, and they also put in their vessels, and they will not be able to sin against their enemies. So the Malbim says we're missing a word here. It should say, and therefore they will not be able to stand before their enemies. Because of what they did in verse 11, therefore they won't be able to stand. Okay, so you're saying that's number one. The first word should be the word that's missing that will connect the two sentences together is the word lachein, therefore. And it says, Bnei Israel will not be able to stand before their enemies. Will be here, and he explains that this is for two reasons that they will not be able to stand before them. One is for a matter of nature. What's one of the reasons? Because they're going to turn their necks. And why will they turn their necks? Because they have cherem amongst them. And the segula hacherem lahatam me'era b'kolcham. So this segula of the cherem, the treasury of this forbidden stuff, is going to take away their power and to weaken them also via nature, that they won't be able to stand up against them via the Hashgacha, or Hashem's divine intervention. And why is that happening? Why is God's divine intervention going away? Because he says, I cannot be in your midst until you get rid of that cherem. And so the Malbim says, Gam had hitna the shekiyumu lefnei is also the condition was when they stand before your enemies, before their enemies, tahayinu, which is when your natural strength resumes or comes back, that would be enough. Im lo the cherem b'kirbechem, only if there was no cherem in your midst, which means that you would burn it, that which you stole from the cherem. So if you would do that, fine. That's until then, Kamosha Ketuv, like it says in the pasuk after that, Lo tuchalakum l'shnei avecha, you will not be able to stand before your enemy until you remove the cherem. But he says, Aval Kishiyah Hashem imachem, when Hashem will be with you, tzarich shishmadu hacherem v'kirbechem, you need to destroy the cherem that's in your midst. Hu lahashmid ha'ish sha'avar al-cherem, and we have to destroy the man that transgressed, that broke the cherem. Below die, and that's not enough. That we don't have, it would not be enough that you just don't have the cherem in reality. But you also have to destroy the person who transgressed on the cherem. Okay? So there's two things that God is demanding. One, destroy the cherem, get rid of it. You have cherem in your area. Again, cherem being the catch-all for that which was forbidden, set aside for the Bedek Habayah, for the treasury. You stole it. You shouldn't have been able to do that because Joshua said not to. And then, if you do that, that's not enough. That's not total teshuvah. Second thing you must do is take the person out. You have to take the person out in order to kill the person who did this. Okay? So he says, Kum, Pasuk Yugim, verse 13. Kum, get up.
Doesn't that make a pressure? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess because Baruch is doing it is not necessarily human logic involved.
Doing what?
No, it doesn't that we're continuing maybe with a prejudicial judgment. There is somebody who had Edom and Hasra, and he's going to be taken to a court that can put him to death, and he'll put to death. But God's maybe doing this prejudicial. I mean, he's not saying go put him to death. I have a prophecy for a Navi. Go put him to death at the word of the Navi. God's saying go and put the person to death through the normal process. It's still like a little. We're continuing. It sounds a little funny.
So
a little weird.
So you cannot put him to death through the natural process because
you cannot put him.
No, because there were no witnesses and there was no Hasra and there was no warning. So this is going to be that we have to do it in a different way, and we're about to discover that. Okay. So it says, "Kum, get up, Kadesha Am, sanctify the nation." Marta, and you will say, this is our conversive here, and you will say, Hitkadshu l'macha, prepare yourself, separate, make yourselves holy for tomorrow. Hiko Amar Hashem l'kei Israel, because thus says Hashem, the God of Israel. Cherem b'kirbecha Yisrael. Cherem, let's just leave it in the Hebrew at this point, right? Everybody understands what I'm saying when I say cherem, yes?
No, yeah.
Good. So cherem is in your midst, Israel. Lo tuchal lakum lifnei oivecha. This is all talking in singular. You individuals cannot stand up before your enemies. Well, that's plural. Ad hadsirchem, until now it's you plural. Remove them. Remove the cherem mikirbechem from your midst. So it's interesting that it went from Yisrael as a collective to then the individuals. But that's how the verse goes. So again, get up. That's command form. Get up. sanctify the nation, and you will say to them tomorrow, you will sanctify yourselves for tomorrow. And that's when Hashem says, because Cherem is in your midst, you can't rise up before your enemies. You're not going to win until you remove the Cherem from your midst. Any questions?
You remove, in other words, the people have to find him in
Yes.
Jerusalem? Not so or anybody.
Anybody in Klal Yisrael could do it.
Well,
Anybody could do it.
are you asking that, is it going to be a bounty system?
Yeah,
No.
How are they going to find out?
No. Oh, that we're going to find out. But the question is, once you find him, you must remove him. Okay? So Malbim continues to explain, you will not be able to rise up against your enemies until you remove the Cherem. And he says, he doesn't mention the second, Yeshua is not mentioning the second condition. Until that Hashem will not be in your midst, in their midst, until they remove, until they destroy the Cherem. So the Hashmid Hamoel b'Cherem, and that would be to destroy the one who derived benefit from the Cherem, like we said before. Because he did not want to tell them that the one who transgressed the sin would be obligated to death. Because then the sinner wouldn't want to admit what he did.
You mentioned second condition. What would that be?
That God's not going to be in their midst until they get rid of this. So the Chenu Dilehem Rak Tanaya Echad. That's why he's only telling the first condition, namely, we won't be able to do anything until we remove the Cherem from our midst. Can you imagine? Here I say, well, we always tell our kids.
Don't do that.
No, or certainly as parents and as teachers. If people just tell me what you did wrong, I promise not to punish you. Right? Because if I'm not going to punish you, then you're free to tell me what it is. I won't yell at you. If you tell me the truth, I won't yell at you. Fine. So then now that the kid tells the truth, of course, you yell at him. Or you punish him some other way. But really, the precondition was, don't do this. If you do A, then the resulting thing that you're expecting won't happen. Now, if I don't tell you, let's say I just said, tell me the truth now, and I didn't say you will be punished. You will definitely be punished. If I didn't tell you, so tell the truth, because nothing can happen until we know the truth. So now the person will be more apt to say what's going to happen. Then you punish the person. So then he'll say, but I'm a victim. I'm a victim of my circumstance. He'll say, I didn't know. If I knew you were going to punish me, I wouldn't have said it. Exactly. Okay, so
I like to give an example of the wanted poster in the post office. Somebody puts up a wanted poster with somebody's picture on it and a certain number of amounts of reward for turning him in. And then the wanted person shows up in the post office and he turns himself into a cop loser. I mean, that's the case.
There you go.
I'm almost saying that case.
does he get his money?
Does he get
I turned myself in.
You're right. I don't know. Okay. V'nikravtem, so it says, next pasuk. V'nikravtem baboker l'shitechem. And again, he's continuing. Josh is continuing. And you will approach in the morning by your tribes. V'haya. And it will be Hashevet Asher Yokadenu Hashem. The tribe that Hashem picks out literally conquers. Lachad is to conquer, right? You remember that?
No.
You don't remember?
It was from third grade. I don't remember.
Okay. So you're going to correct me. Okay. So it will be that the tribe that Hashem picks out. I think that's how they translate it in English. Yikrav lemishpachot. Then that tribe will come by families. And the family that Hashem picks out, again conquers, Tikrav Labatim will come by houses, V'habayit, and the house, Hashem that Hashem picks out or conquers, Yikrav L'Gevarim. He will approach by individuals, by men, not women. Why not women, by the way? You could say it's women, right? You say the Gvarim is an all-inclusive term, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be a real male chauvinist about this and say it means about men. Why would I think it means only about men and not women?
The head of the household.
What else?
The army.
The army. Who's in the army?
The men.
Men. Okay, who's going to steal the cherem? The men. So really, it would be to say that this is an all-inclusive Gvarim, meaning that men and women. I can't imagine that a woman would be involved. That you could even look to a woman in this case, because a woman was on the battlefield. She wasn't going to get it, so it can only be a man. That's why I'm going to be a male chauvinist and say, right. So if any woman wants to, who's listening to thousands and millions of women livers who are who are listening, if they can find some sort of proof that I'm wrong, write me into write to this video. I'll be more than happy to look at their evidence. But at this point, I'm going to have to assume that it's only men that we're talking about.
Especially since you're going through a process of elimination to find the guilty one.
Correct.
No, so we narrowed it down. My imaginary wanted poster, instead of saying, $50,000 reward for such and such person, has a picture up. It has the picture up, it has a $50,000 reward, and then his wife walks into the post office and says, my husband's tied up.
She would get the money.
She would get the money.
There's no question about that. Okay.
But I mean, the money to give her to right away.
She may not get the divorce.
No, I'm saying if they give it to her right away.
So, what questions do they have on this? There's some questions that you can ask on this puzzle. Come on. What's some of the questions you could ask?
How is he going to point him out? That's my.
Okay, that's fine. We're going to hear that. Go ahead.
Doesn't say how.
Yeah, that we'll find out in 2 seconds. That's one of the questions. A good question. What else? Again, the breakdown is going to go through the tribe. Then it's going to go families. Then it's going to go to a house. Then it's going to go to individual.
Mm-hmm.
You could ask the difference.
On the topic of.
You could ask the difference. Okay. Okay. You have to move up. You have to move past the wanted office. Okay. The post office. Okay. So you could ask why, if it says families, what is the difference between families and a house?
Brothers and sisters.
Broader.
It's broader. We're limiting it down. So the households, and once you get to the household, it goes to individuals. Okay. Yeah. So now let's look at what he's saying. So wait, the Malvin is quiet here. He's good. Okay, the Malvin has something to say. So the question is, where are you bringing them to? Okay, this was part of your question, Mike. How is it going to work? So it says, the Mitzudas David says, "V'nikravtem mul ha'aron." You're going to make them pass the Aron HaKodesh, the holy ark. That's number one. So it's going to be very important. And first, you're going to go by the individual tribe. Then you're going, and God's going to pick out, as the Mitzudas David says, "Nilkad lefnei ha'aron." They're going to be passed before the Aaron. So the Shevet, the tribe that cannot move, that's the tribe that did it. Okay. Then they're going to, after they move from their place, now they're going to go to they're stuck. Fine. So now we're going to go through the families, and then the families are also going to be split into the houses. Like you said, that we're going very specific, and then finally to the individuals. Okay.
Yeah, in English it says in traps.
In traps? Okay. Oh, I say captures. Fine. So that's, there was one other thing I saw that I wanted to also address. Who says it's a matter of the word lachad. I don't see it right now. Oh. That's what we were saying. You could move. So the Radak answers very nicely, I think, the whole thing. He says, they say, Amru ki hevirum lefnei Aaron, when they pass before the Aaron, v'ha nilkad, and is capturing hu sheha Aaron koltu, the Aaron, the ark of the covenant, will collect them, which means shalaha yuchol lazuz misham, which means they can't move from there. The old Amru, and then it says further, Ki emid kol hashvatim, that they say that all the tribes originally stood there, the Fnei Orim v'Tumim, before the breastplate, the Avnei HaChoshen, Hayu Ketuvim Bo Shemot HaShvatim, and the Avnei Choshen, the stones of the Choshen, they had the names of the tribes inscribed on them. Umisha Avno Keha Hua Nilkad, and that whose stone was weak, as it were, that was the one who was captured. Vekeha Avno Shel Yehuda. So what happened was the stone of the Yehuda became weakened. I guess that's how you would say it. Now, that would be step one. I have to identify my tribe. Okay, so I look at the stone. The stone makes it a little darker, or lighter, whatever it's going to do. I know that tribe Yehuda is in problems. Now the rest of it, that's your other question, the rest of it, he says, that we had to do via a goral, with a lottery system. We're going to have a lottery system to figure out which family and ultimately which household, and then ultimately the individual. So next we have number 15. So it says V'ahaya Hanilka B'cherem, and that which was captured in this lottery of the cherem, Yisareif Be'esh. The cherem will be, it will be burned in fire. So that's the question is, I'll leave it to you. Oto v'yekol shaloi, it and all that belongs to him. Ki avar et brit Hashem, because he transgressed the covenant of Hashem. V'chi asat nevala b'Yisrael, and he did a disgusting thing in Israel.
Let me throw in a straw man, Hakaka. It's not referring. So it's not it the person's soul. We're not talking about a soul burning and all the stuff belonging to the soul being buried. I mean,
is that a question or is that?
No, it was just like a weird hypothesis for Oso. I mean,
okay. So your question.
Oso means the cherem that we were just referring to. Yeah. Oso goes back to the cherem.
Rabbi, does he have money? Ask him if he has money. Okay. I'll catch up with you. Okay, so it's again. So you're asking what the question is, namely what's Oto referring to? Any other people? Any other questions? Who's being burned? That's what he's asking. He's assuming it's not the individual, right? You're saying it's not the individual who's being burned.
Oso that's cholesterol. Right. Unless we're saying is it. If we're saying Oso is him. And it belongs to him. So
you're asking what is being burned? You're saying what's being burned?
Wouldn't it be him and
his
so you're thinking the person's being burned.
And his
property. So maybe other property that is not from the forbidden stuff.
By the way, let's understand something. Okay, I hear. Let's understand something else. What does burning mean for Jewish law? We have a death of Sreifa.
Destruction.
Now what does burning mean? Literally, how do you burn? Do you actually burn the person? Put him in the fire and burn? No, what does it mean? Remember?
Streifa means specifically that the throat has molten metal.
He drinks. They force him to drink something down his throat, burns him. It does. We don't literally burn him and let him go up in smoke. We don't cremate the guy. Okay, Streifa is not that. It means we burn it through his throat. Okay, it's a death. Death is death, but we don't cremate the guy. That's not for us to do. So that's number one. And now, any other questions on that? Okay, so now I'm going to give you two things.
Does that include his family too? It says he and all that he had.
All that belonged to him.
Does his family?
So you're asking, does it mean family? Okay. By the way, what covenant did he transgress? Remember? There's a covenant of Hashem. Which covenant did he transgress? Like we said, the cherem was not the covenant of Hashem. The cherem was Joshua's orders.
Well, theft.
I see. Okay, he broke the theft. Well, it's only theft because who's he stealing from?
Well, he stole it on the Sabbath.
Oh, on the Sabbath, correct. So that's That's the covenant of Hashem that he's talking about. Okay. So let's go on, and I'm going to give you two things. One is first Rashi, so we understand what he's arguing, and then we can go on to the second one. So it says, Yisareh be'esh. What is he burning? What will be burned in fire? Ha'ohel v'metaltalim. The tent, this person's tent, and his movable belongings. He has there's two things. You have metaltalim, which is movable belongings. Then you have karka, which is land, immovable objects. So it's non-mobile, I guess you call it. Okay, so that's what we're going to burn. Oto, him, and all that belongs to him. Kedim ha'meforsh lamata, like it says, like we'll explain below. Oto v'behem ha'meskila. Him and the animals will get stoned. Now he's giving me a note. Okay, so that's important for us right now. And then it says again, Oto v'yekol shelo kedina amol lamata. Ze mikakatsir v'domelo kol make yivusi v'yigba. Okay, fine.
It came up relatively often in high school, otherwise I wouldn't bring it up.
I'm sorry?
People use the word stone for drug theft, right? For a drug theft, it knocks the person totally out.
All right, so
but then he recovers.
But we're not talking about that here.
We're definitely not talking about no LSD generated in
nope.
I mean, I'm trying to think of fine, cocaine, nothing to bring this in.
No, it has nothing to do with that here. Okay.
No.
So the Malbim now says it would be burned with fire. Shemitzad ha'avar l'cherem, because he transgressed the cherem. Who omed the srof dinok isreifa. The cherem was supposed to be burned. That which was in the city, everything there was supposed to be burned. So since you have the cherem, it now has the law of, how do you say this? It was already judged as being burned. So now that I have it, you may think I saved it. No, that also still must be burned. That already was adjudicated that it had to be burned. Okay? So that's what we're talking about, Sreifa. It will be burned because you have to. And then it says, Ki avar, because he transgressed. Retzelemor, which means, Shechata neged hamakom. He sinned against Hashem. Sha'ava brito, because he transgressed his covenant, namely the Sabbath. V'neged Yisrael, and also he sinned against Israel. Sha'asa nevala Israel, because he did something disgusting in Israel.
That's a more modern story, right?
Wait, let me just finish. Kinan shu'al yado.
Several books, and they were burned.
You have to let me just finish, okay?
Okay.
Kinan shu'al yado, because they were punished via him. Okay, remember we have a rule. Kol Yisrael Ravens all Jews are guarantors for the others. So since nobody stopped him from doing this, and apparently people did see him doing this, somebody saw him doing this. So, and they didn't put up a stink against it. As a result, he caused a blemish in Israel, and because of this concept, we were all punished because of him. And they explained that from the side of transgressing the cherem, so that they was fit to be burned. And he was stoned because Shabbat, because he was profaning the Sabbath. And one who transgresses the Sabbath is obligated to the death of stoning, like I explained before.
There's no explanation. I don't understand the explanation because they don't know when this is going to start. That's only
okay. I hear what you're saying. I hear. So we have to go on and finish. Kedin misha chayav shtei mitot, and we have a law that when a person is obligated to 2 death sentences, shenidon bechumra, that he gets the worst of the 2 death sentences. Yalidei Cain, and through this skalo, so they stoned him. Begam shoro, and also his oxen and his donkey. Bal yukal mitatam ba'aleim. Okay, because they're going to be destroyed with their master. Okay, so it says that really there were 2 death sentences on him. Sreifa and skila, but he gets the worst of the two. And when it comes to he broke the Shabbat, that again people could have seen, maybe they didn't see. It's a whole problem. But since God is not counting on their normal process of witnesses and warning, so God's making the rule here, saying since you're all connected, He's really bringing this lesson home to them too, because since we're all connected, then Hashem is saying that this person has to be taken out of the picture. Stoning doesn't mean, by the way, listen to what stoning is. Stoning was you put the person down, I think it was 2 stories, you take a gigantic stone, drop it on him. If he doesn't die, do it again. But it doesn't mean that you have to, everybody takes a stone and starts pelting them, like you see on TV. That's not what stoning was. Okay? And then another thing was, after you stoned him, you would also put a stone on his grave site to indicate that he was stoned, which was an embarrassment for the family. I don't know, denigration for the family. Okay. But it wasn't, again, it was vicious, but it wasn't as vicious as everybody doing it. It's not for everybody to stone him. It's for the court. After he's found guilty, there's a death sentence here. So they usually draw, I think it was 2 stories. They drop the stone, a gigantic stone, boom, hits the guy. The guy is dead. It's almost right. If he still says, I'm here, Monty Python sort of thing. Right, right. Starts dancing. So, then you have to do it again. But that's again what the court doing it. It's not individuals just throwing stones.
Doing it. You keep saying missing.
Right. No.
Again, I made it a silly question, but again, if God's court has decided that the person should be killed, and God made the decision to tell a prophet about it, like God's court, I mean, let God's court go and do the stoning. Like God's court come and.
No, he's saying we have to do it. He's saying we have to do it. But again, kosher ravens ever said.
That's wonderful. I mean, I'm very nice people. But what does that do with me? What does that do with any college trial? What court?
There is no court.
There's no court. There's no court that has the obligation to stone the person.
Correct.
So
the court is
only
like
a case in
the court is instructed to follow the court is instructed to follow the Navi or the Nasi at this point. The court is instructed. Right.
At this point.
The king can do whatever he wants. That's why King David could have Uriah killed.
Again, King David was not himself, but King David also was qualified to serve in a court. I mean, there are other.
So is Joshua.
There are other.
So is Joshua. He's
the king.
He's the king at this point. So he can do what he wants. He can really do what he wants. Okay, so now next, Vayash came Yoshua Baboker. So Joshua woke up early in the morning. V'yakrev et Yisrael Shvatav, and he brought Israel again before the Aaron by its tribes, by Elaked Shevet Yehuda, and Shevet Yehuda was conquered. In other words, if we follow the Malbim, it means, and actually the Radak, it means that they couldn't move from their place, or the lights of the Orm Betumim lit up. The Choshen Mishpat, what do you saw? Not the Choshen Mishpat. The Avnei Choshen lit up on Yehuda, and therefore Yehuda was identified as being the person. Fine. That's how Rashi explains it. Now, any questions on that?
We just explained darken, but lit up is the opposite of darken, so that's fine. I mean,
okay.
They should have lit up. That was the identified shooter. Sorry, they made light. Sorry, light. Okay.
So Vayakrev et Mishpachat Yehuda. So they brought the family of Yehuda in front of the Choshen, and what happened was Vayilkot et Mishpachat HaZarchi. So the family of Zarchi was picked up. Vayakrev et Mishpachat HaZarchi. So now he brought the family of Zarchi before the Gvarim by men. Velakate Zavdi. And so Zavdi was the family of Zavdi, the house of Zavdi was picked up. Yaakov Beit Gvarim. Now they bring the household, Zavdi's household by men. By Velakate Achan ben Carmi ben Zavdi ben Zerach Amati Yehuda. So finally, the one who's picked up, the one who can't move from his place, is Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zavdi, the son of Zerach, from the tribe of Yehuda. Any questions?
I don't know. I was the mayor. I had a question on downtown. Was the mayor exempt from going through the metal detector with certain guards? Maybe he has special guards exempt from going through the metal detector. Was Yehoshua in this case, or the Beis Din, the Sanhedrin, exempt from going through this quote unquote test, or going through this God? They weren't exempt. Everyone had to do it.
It went by tribes.
It went by tribes, but then it went by Sheva.
Okay. So Rashi explains, and they brought forth on 17, starting with that one. He says they brought the family of Yehuda, the Goral Echad, to one of these lotteries, as it were. Rav Rashi Mishpachot, he didn't bring the whole tribe, rather, they brought the heads of the families. So it's not you have 49,000 people or 56,000 people. They brought the heads of the tribes. Adam Echad Mikol HaMishpacha, one man from every family, Shetil Goral Al-Ami, so they would take from the Goral, and they would take from the lottery, and whoever it fell upon would be the one that they're looking at. I'll call Batei Avot Shel Otam Mishpacha, then every household of the fathers, each family, Adam Echad Mikol Beit Av the Goral. Again, it'll be one person who's coming. And then again, one person. I'm sorry, when it comes to the house, then everybody has to come. So right now we're just going household. We have let's say 100 households. So you don't have to bring the whole family down. You have to bring the boss of the family. He comes. He takes the goral. Now the goral is very important to understand how this is working. Lotteries. Okay? Unlike all the stuff that we know about lotteries, short sticks and everything else. The lottery is used on many occasions in Jewish law, where it was I should say Jewish law, but you have in the story of Jonah, you have the Goral who's causing this, and they do it a couple of times. You have Purim, which again is the Goral. A Goral is a system in which God is picking on a particular person. How do you know? In other words, you can just be an unlucky soul that the Goral came out on you, okay? Or in the army, when they say, all volunteers, please step forward. Of course, everybody steps backward, and the only guy who doesn't understand stands up. Thank you for volunteering, okay? So that would only happen the first time, right? Once the guy understands what's going on, he would back up with everybody, and he would be saved. So when it comes to a Goral,
it's a totally different case of president.
When it comes out with
everyone who shows up to the board meeting gets to vote for president. The one person who doesn't show up, they vote for him.
So when it comes to a Goral, and meant that they kept doing the Goral over and over again. It wasn't just a one-time event. It would be 3 or 4 times. If I'm trying to blame something on you, then I'm going to do it 3 or 4 times. If each time it comes out on you, you can't say that this is a fluke. Okay, that's how it was done in Jonah, and that's how it was done in Jonah. That's how it was done for many things. That they would repeat it a couple of times to ensure that this is what was going on.
Throw out rocks.
Around
6. 2 and 6. 2 and 6. Okay. And otherwise, other Goralim have, that's plural. Other Goralim, the lotteries, that would be, I put something in the hat, 22,000 piece of paper, and you pick out a piece of paper and it says what it says, you're stuck with that. Okay, we're not going to repeat that over and over again. That was the simple thing. Because we're just looking for people to pay the money, so whoever picks up the wrong slip has to pay the 5 shekels, for example. But when it comes to, when it comes to something where I'm blaming you and I'm going to take it out on you, I better be very sure. So in the case of the Choshen
better than
then I just rely upon Hashem saying that it's lighting up. Okay, that was the first goal. I can't move. If I can't move, we're stuck. Pretty much, you got me on. You have me, down there. But when it comes to the coming down to Achan, it's not just a one-time thing. At least not if we go by logic. It's not for one time. It's a couple of times. They had to do this just so he couldn't say anything. Although we'll find out he actually does, because what happens is, so the Malbim says, Lo Amar Po, when it says again that Yehuda's family came, it says Lo Amar Po, it doesn't say here, Vayakrev et Shevet Yehuda Mishpachot, K'mosh Kedu B'kulam. It doesn't say that he brought the Shevet of Yehuda, the tribe of Yehuda by families, like it says to everybody else. V'chem B'kulam Amar V'yilachet. In the Nifal, it also says the word V'yilachet in the Nifal, which is a passive. Uba Amar Vilkot. Here it says he brought up, he separated. Okay, because in the case of everybody else, the ark picked them out, didn't let them walk as it were. When Reuben, Shimon, and Levi came, nothing happened. The Yehuda no called in Aaron, but Yehuda was picked by the Aaron, so they couldn't move. The Az lahikrivieta shvatim shachrav. Then after Yehuda was picked, no other tribes came. There was no reason for anybody else to come because we already know which tribe it is. L'zeama vayakrev et Yisrael l'shvatav, and that's why it says that he brought Israel according to its tribes, virtually Moshevet Acher Shevet, tribe after tribe. Ki lo gamar lahakrev kulam, because he didn't finish bringing in all of them. Lo kael mishpachot, lo kain b'mishpachot, but it doesn't say that with the families. Shemishpachat Zarchi haita b'charona, because the family of Zarchi was the last. V'ikriv kol mishpachot Yehuda, and that's why it says, and he brought all the families of Yehuda. Lo kalta ma'aron, and the Aaron didn't collect them as it were. Mishpachat Zarchi sh'nishara b'charona, and now finally when it comes to the family of Zarchi, that came at the last, lahatshvich lahakriv lifnei Aaron. They didn't need to bring before the Aaron, ki alu nafal b'hagoral, because the goral had already fallen on this family. Vayilkod Yehoshua otos. Now Joshua picks them out for himself. Okay, do you understand? We're looking at tenses here.
Vayilaked sent out Bin Laden family members.
Vayilaked means that it's a matter of nifal. It's a PL form, and that's it causes it. It's a passive. Something's causing it. What's causing it? What's separating them? At that point, the Aaron, as compared to Vayilkod, that's referring. He separated it. That's referring to Joshua. So that's a passive. That's just kal. That's what we're learning in grammar. Vayilkod is just a normal way of saying it. And he picked up. So once he picks up the family, who's he? Joshua. Then we start working on a different level. Okay. So now, and it says in verse 19, it says, Vayomer Yehoshua, and Joshua said, El Achan to Achan, Beni, my son, Simna Kavod Hashem, please place the honor to Hashem, like Israel, the God of Israel, V'tein lo Todah, and give him admission. Okay, V'haged Nali, and please tell me, Me'asita, what did you do? Al tichached mimeni. Don't hold anything back from me. Don't try to deceive anything from me. Okay? So again, listen to the line. Josh is saying to Achan, my son, please put the honor to Hashem, the God of Israel, and give him thanks or give him admission. What's he talking about? Confess to what? Why is he bringing in God here? What's the honor to God?
That's the problem.
Okay, so here's what Rashi kicks in, a very important thing. When he says, Simna Kavod, please put honor. Hitchil Lahotzi La'az Al Goral. Immediately, when Achan was picked, he started to speak badly, to denigrate the lottery system. I didn't do it. This is wrong. Okay? So Amalo, he said to him, the Goral Ataba Ilai. So Yeshua says to him, with the Goral, with this lottery, you came, it came to me. Okay? Atav Elazar, Kohen Gadol, Gadol Adoritam. You and Elazar the Kohen and all the Gedolei Ador.
So I'm imagining, he's going
to
Germany.
You put the Goral on both of them.
And then he teaches
and it only falls on one. So Amar lo, he said to him, Nina simna kavod, bivak Hashem imcha. He says, I request from you. Al totzi lazal goralo. Don't denigrate the goralo. Don't denigrate this lottery system. Shabo atida art lechalek, because in the future we're going to use that to also split the land up. There's a lot of things that happen with this lottery that nobody complained. It works. It's perfect. Don't, because you're guilty, you're trying to mess the whole system up. So please stop that and admit to Hashem what's really going on. That's how Rashi explains that.
Reform Jews in the United States, America said during the Holocaust,
Malbim,
we have our way of life here in America. You want to mess it up with bringing in Polish Jews? Don't count us in.
Right.
After the Holocaust, they were rolling down.
Right. Okay. Good. I hear.
It's history.
I hear. I agree with you. So Sim Kavod Hashem. But it says again, don't let the Malbim out. He explains it. He says, Bal Tachich Goral. Don't contradict this lottery. Shaya Al Pi Hashem. That was, why shouldn't you contradict it? Because this is how Hashem is telling us what's going on. This is Ichilu Kavodo. This is a desecration to God's honor. V'tein Hodan, admit to him, Al Yetzer Aver, and all the other sins. And Meforesh Neged Sim Kol Kavod. That's what it means, put down the honor. And then he says, Hagidli Me'asito, tell me what you said. V'neged Tein Lo Todah. This is corresponding to when he says, give admission. Amar al tichal many yet al veirot shasita. On the other, don't deny, don't conceal from me any of the sins, the other sins that you've done. Okay, so he's not only just picking on one thing; he's really hitting him up here. Okay, so vayan Achan, and Achan answered et Yoshua. Vayomar, he said, Amna, truly, Anochi katati l'Hashem Elokei. I have sinned against God, the God of Israel. Uchazot v'chazot asiti, and I did such and such. What's the problem? The problem here. What should have said? I did. Uchazot said. Should have said uchazot asiti, and I did this. He says v'chazot asiti. I did this and I did this. I did such and such. So right away we know that is two things he does. So the one thing you have to ask is what happened to Achan? Did this speech really get to him? Did Yoshua's speech really get to him and say, oh, you're making a desecration of God's name, really admit what's going on, and that's all? Okay, so Rashi says that wasn't what did it. Achan saw. He said, Ra'a b'nei Yehuda shenesim l'milchama. He saw that b'nei Yehuda were gathering for war. In other words, they were picking on his tribe. Tribe Yehuda was under attack here, so they were getting ready to war with everybody else over this individual, saying that he says he's innocent. It must be true he's innocent. He's just picking on us. Okay. Amar, so Achan said, Mutav sha'amut ani levadi. It is better that I die myself, Yal Yargu Kama Alafim Yisrael, rather than many hundreds, or many thousands die from Israel. So when he saw that a war was about to break out on his behalf, he said, no, I cannot die knowing that all these people died because of me when I am guilty. Okay? So he says, he said, I also stole in the times of Moshe, when Moshe set up these places, and I was not supposed to take from them either. I took from them. Look, I was building up my stock from my store. I did it. I admit it. Okay? Okay? That's what's going on.
Was this sacrifice, is that a more light punishment than taking for himself for some personal use? The lighter punishment to have stock in the store?
I'm making a joke with the store.
Not making a joke.
I'm making a joke with the store. So now, the Malbim gives a very interesting explanation to what's going on here. We're gonna have to. I want to finish this, Mike. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to catch the last part on your.
I'm still listening. Go ahead. Okay,
so it says, "Amna anochi chatati b'chem zeh." Truly, I have sinned with this cherem, and like I said, with the other cherem in the times of Moshe, I also sinned. V'hinei bal hasdig in the smoke become tamim. But now he tries to justify himself for many reasons. Okay, whatever one. Kavar hayaragil ba'verazu v'naseh lo keheter. I already became accustomed to this sin of stealing from cherem, so now I assumed it was permissible. All right, we have a rule. The first time I do something wrong, I recognize that it's wrong. The second time I do something wrong, it is permitted. Why is it permitted? Not it's really permitted, but I assume, since I got away with it the first time, cognitive dissonance makes me believe that it really wasn't forbidden. So that's what the rule is. The first time is asur, forbidden. The second time is mutter, is permissible. It's really not, but that's what he's saying. I got away with it the first time. I figured the second time was good too. That's his first rationale. The Al-Zamar, that's what he says, such and such I've done. So now let's go on next verse, okay? And I saw B'Shalom, a derek shin'ah, I saw in the booty, there's a derek a type of clothing, I think they call it Babylonian clothing, I forget what they called it. Acha Tova, Umatayim Shkalim Kesef, that was one good thing that weighed 200 shekels, okay, of silver, Velashon Zahav Echad, and this one gold tongue, Chamishim Shkalim of 50 Shkalim of its weight, the Ech Medem, and I desired them, Ekachem, and I took them. V'hinei Tamun Ba'aretz, and behold, they are buried in the ground, B'tocha Ali, in the midst of my tent, B'kesef Tachteh, and the silver is under it. Now watch what happens with the Malbim. It says Ve'era B'Shalal. And remember, the first one was, I sinned the first time, I got used to it, I figured it was alright. Second one, Ve'era B'Shalal. Ya'an, and I saw the booty. Ya'an Chashavti, Achashu Shalal, Mutal Kakto. Because I considered that after, since it's already booty, it's permissible to take it. And also a rabbi say, Ra'iti Mash Ketuv, Cain, sorry, B'Torah ve'echalta shlal evecham. And I also saw when it says I saw what was written in the Torah when it says you will eat or you will devour the booty of your enemies. So again, if it's booty,
this is what we have now.
If it's shalal, so and the Torah says I can use it, so that's my second thing. Shaita, and what do you see? Shaita, Derek Shinash Melech Bavel. I said it was some sort of Babylonian clothing. Shu Medina Acheret. So that's not even from. It's not even from Ai. It's not from Canaan. It's not stuff that has to be destroyed. It was a Derek Shinar from a different place. So that wasn't part of the booty that Joshua made cherem. It was a different thing. So I thought. It can't be that Joshua says that was forbidden. Only the money of Jericho would be forbidden. Lo shel bena medina acheret, not something from some other place. Come on. I understand if you're going to tell me something from South Bend is also. It's no good. But it came from Michiana. Had nothing to do with South Bend.
From what?
Michiana
is larger than South Bend. It came from
Yenisveld. Okay. And it says Tova. The Yitzhva Siu Lachamor Otam. So and it was good. So my Yetzer, I desired to have it. Okay. Then it says Matayim Shkalim Kesef V'Lashon Zahav. So then you have this 200 shkalim of kesef and a gold bar, whatever they want to call it. V'chashav ki hamitchavet eina b'chlal. And I again held that these things were not included.
If you want to get particular, I thought some HOC Sidurim
since they could not be burned. Rock Ocha Hashem Yavo. They would only come into the treasury of Hashem. The Avar, and so then I transgressed. Rak Alav the Me'ilah. I only am transgressing on the negative commandment of misappropriation or misuse of holy objects. But really I didn't do that either, because the Hinam Tamudim Ba'ali, they're buried in my tent. Below his tamesh, I didn't use it. Below Nenemehem, I didn't get benefit from it. Vizelo miles, so therefore I didn't even transgress the negative injunction against Me'ilah of, again, misuse of holy objects. Gam Kain Kiva Bazahav and not only that, but the the gold that will not be spoiled, eno mo'el ad she'eneh b'save pruta. I only am transgressing it once I got benefit from at least a little bit of amount of it, a sheva pruta. Upo lo nena lo nif lo pagam. But here I didn't get benefit, I didn't spoil it. And that's why it says the kesef was underneath it. What was underneath? Underneath the clothing that covered it, so that it wouldn't become spoiled. So I saw this. Gamken eich hitzadek Yoshua shne'en shu below Edom, and that answers ultimately his question: how could Joshua justify himself in punishing this person without Edom, without witnesses? Because there were all these signs that they stole 3 different types of objects. The weight was of weight of silver and gold. They were hidden in his tent. And then he placed that and the silver under it. Ubav milat v'hali, and says Ali kinoi im Hashem yediyah with the yediyah. Sorry, ahali, my tent. Okay, with the yediyah. Shaya lo oel miyucha, which was his specific tent. Chaluk mibnei beito, separate from his household. Vayubo shnei chadarim echad gadol v'ikar. There was 2 rooms. One, the main big room, is his major one. But Sion b'kinoi ohel, but it's called ohel, my ohel, shel b'nei lo shel b'nei to, which means that he had a small room which he would be hidden in. So he has all these excuses on his side, and now Joshua has his excuse of why I can take you out.
Yeah, well, I've been doing this all along. Why all of a sudden you're going to punish me now?
Right. So that's we'll stop there. I don't want to go so much on.
Yeah.
No, but the amazing thing is not that he rationalized everything. I'll show you why it's not forbidden.
This is not new. I work up at the jail a lot as a chaplain.
Right.
And when I go in there, it's always his fault.
Right.
His fault. Never my fault.
Right. Okay, we'll stop here.